just while we're waiting for Jonathan and other people, you can start with your question about concentration and panya.
Ajahn, I read in the definition of the Panya Parami, it said that proximate cause for Panya is concentration and all Four Noble Truths.
Are we now talking about Panya or Parami or what?
It's a Panya.
Panya.
Yes.
It is.
She's asking about concentration, samadhi, as proximate cause for panya.
Without any understanding, can the concentration support Panya? Without any understanding at all. That's why at moment of Panya or any moment, there must be the Cetasika, which is one-pointedness, depending on Sati, Vipaka, Kusala, Akusala, or Kiriya. Have such understanding of a reality, which is one-pointedness, even right now. But it doesn't accompany Panya.
Yes.
So, Panya, any moment, has to have Ekakata Cetasika, or one-pointedness Cetasika, arising together, depending on Chati and function, whether it forms a function of Akusala Samadhi or Kusala Samadhi. That's why we learn to understand each different reality. For example, can concentration support Panya? Because concentration arises with each citta.
Yes.
So can it support Panya?
Because it's arises with Ichita, so it's also support Chitta. If also support Panya, if Panya arises with Chitta.
But without Samadhi, one-pointedness, can there be right considering?
No.
See?
Yes.
So the concentration supports the panya, and when the panya arises, it supports the one-pointedness, the concentration. So they all support each other. So actually they're all approximate condition for each other. Panya cannot arise without virya, without ekagata, and so on. And they cannot be understanding of the object without their support.
Yeah. I just curiosity about the why is the consent ekagata is not mentioned the other cetasika, because it's all there. Yes.
Her question is, why is concentration singled out among all the mental factors that arise together with panya? Why is concentration singled out as being the proximate cause?
What about a little more one-pointedness on the object?
Sorry. Jan just said, how about a little more one-pointedness on the object?
Sorry, I don't understand what you mean by that.
It's not just ekakata cetasika, but it needs other factors too.
Yes.
To condition it,
Yes.
to point on the object
Yes.
clearer, stronger, a little more consideration of that object to be known more and more. It seems like we try to understand what is what and why is why, but in truth, understanding reality as just a reality which arises together with other reality.
Could the answer be that everyone's so interested in concentration and
Not me,
in the Buddha's time,
even any moment.
but samadhi and jhana were perceived as being the highest attainable states. So I'm just wondering if there's a connection there. Why?
What about panya?
Well,
We
we're
just
talking
talk-
about the supporting, the proximate cause for panya. So you can't have panya as proximate cause for panya.
Without panya or very little panya and very strong samadhi, not balanced.
No, I'm just thinking of the reasons why concentration is mentioned by the Buddha in the many suttas as being the proximate cause
Not
for panya.
just concentration, but it means that the more understanding, the more concentration on that reality.
Very good point, Ajahn.
But to me, I am not interested in samadhi. It's there until it appears to let go.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's suggesting that it means that samadhi must be developed. I think it's just wanting to.
So they cling to it instantly, unknowingly, by such thought. Are you interested in samadhi?
Not really, I'm interested in. I think panya is all that one needs to be interested in, really. I'm not interested in other things like other kinds of kusala particularly, but the key theme of the Buddha's teaching throughout all the suttas, as I see it, is understanding.
So there are many people who think about samadhi, not panya, because not understanding the difference between the two. They think in their own idea there must be strong samadhi in order to understand the truth. But they don't know the difference between samadhi and panya.
That's why it would be useful to have a reason why the Buddha mentions concentration as the proximate cause, because they take that as being the concentration should precede.
And what about right consideration? Is it mentioned too? The near condition for panya is right consideration. Because they thought that when there is strong samadhi, they would be very peaceful.
So they just cling on to the feelings because it's calm, and they have a wrong view that samadhi is the way, which is not.
Without careful studying, there cannot be the understanding of the truth of everything.
Comment about concentration is for metta, because we were talking about those 5 factors that lead to the disappearance of the teachings, and the last one referred to the 8 attainments, the samapati. And I was reading in the commentary to another sutta, and they mention here about the 8, the Atta Samapati, and they talk about them as a basis for the development of insight. And then the note talks about how they are only considered as higher consciousness, adhicitta, when they are a condition for insight. In other words, when they're the object of insight. And it goes on to say that the elders at Anuradhapura say that any consciousness associated with insight is adhicitta, but so in some contexts it refers to the 8 attainments, the atta samapati, but it just indicates it's high kusala, but if it's not the object of insight, then it's not of any importance, whatever. So I think when we just see the reference to concentration or atta samapati, it means as object of vipassana.
So that the five factors, the fifth is the samadhi. Yeah. So like Thanachan always mentioned that right understanding must develop from the beginning, the reality which is appearing right now, and when panya developed more and more, so start from listening and considering the reality which is now. That is Samma Samadhi is there. And until Satipatthana, right? That is Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi, until the Magga, the way leading to the end of the dukkha. So this Samma Samadhi that
And it,
at the Magga. Yes.
and it develops a little stronger as insight develops until at the moment of enlightenment, it is of the degree of appana samadhi. So it's a condition, approximate condition for understanding. They have to develop together.
Yeah, so for me, I don't mind about the practice samadhi because when I understand more and more, Samma Samadhi is there.
It
all the
develops
time,
together.
yeah, until
They are, yoked together and develop together. I think if there's any idea of practice anything, practice samadhi, practice sati, practice understanding, it's the wrong path. Yeah, right, from the beginning.
There are other words that is support together. That like ati sila sikha, ati citta sikha, and ati panya sikha is a support together. But really the ati citta, it means like in samadhi too. That's why it's sila, samadhi, and panya. That's why it's support together.
Not in samadhi, but samadhi develops. So it is the higher samadhi, the purification of samadhi with right understanding of dhammas. Another point that came up in a text we were reading on the first day about jhana, and it mentioned about it's jhana because of contemplating the object and burning up japana, the enemies, the hindrances. Contemplating the object is anupasati, and I think a jhana anupasati just means following the object. Do you have any comment on anupasati, the meaning in this
we
context?
better ask the one who knows Pali, Kun Kampan.
Because I think when we've discussed it before, anupasati means, it's translated as contemplating, but I think it means following anupasati. And I think that some objects are referred to as objects of contemplating anupasati, and some like the kasinas, which can be the object of the highest jhanas, because they don't need, like death, for example, they don't need the discursive thinking.
That's why the word in Pali is the guide to consider carefully according to the meaning of it.
Yes.
Ka, ว่าไงคะ Anupassi, Anupassati.
Anupasati, like when we're talking about jhana, anupasati and japana. So japana, burning the hindrances, anupasati, in English, contemplating the object. What is anupasati?
Anupasati.
ครับกราบเท้าท่านอาจารย์ครับจากคำว่าอนุปัสสติก็คือการตามเห็นหรือว่าเห็นบ่อยๆเห็นเนืองๆครับเห็นด้วยปัญญาครับท่านอาจารย์ครับ
It's just like the development of Satipatthana.
Experiencing repeatedly. I think
With understanding.
With understanding. I think it means literally following, following the
So sati
following the object, repeatedly experience following. But in this case, not referring, this is referring to mundane jhana, not to vipassana. So here it is following the object of development of samatha.
Not just once, on and on.
Again and again, repeatedly following it. And I think that because there are those objects which need the discursive thinking about, like death, for example, and those that, whether it's just focusing on the same object repeatedly. So some objects like death cannot be the object of the highest jhana because they need that. I think the anupasati refers to also the following and the reflecting on the object wisely. Like when reflecting on death, it's a different object at each moment. Anything more we can say on this?
And when there is the understanding of the meaning of jhana, it's just vitaka.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just vitaka.
Mm-hmm. Arises with any moment. That's why vitaka needs any moment to touch the object.
Yes.
For understanding to develop.
Yes. And that's why when it is, yes, anupasati, when there is the following the object, it needs vitaka, and only higher jhanas no longer need vitaka.
All depend on different stages of understanding.
Yes.
So I have a question kind of related to this, and that is the jhana citta itself. What would be the object of the jhana citta?
When there is the understanding of the meaning of jhana, no matter it's used with other words like jhana citta, we can understand what level. Because there is jhana vitaka, vichara with any moment.
Now I'm talking about, say, first jhana. At the first jhana.
What jhana?
First.
Rupa vajra jhana or what?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with first rupa jhana.
So now we are talking about vipassana or samatha.
Samatha.
Samatha needs vitaka. Otherwise,
Yes.
it does not attain, or touch the object to have more calm.
Right. Perhaps I didn't introduce my question properly. Yesterday in the discussion, there was some discussion about the actual object of the jhana citta.
Rupa jhana.
Rupa jhana, yes, say the first jhana. Whether it's can be said the object is the kammatthana, or is it
Letting go, attachment.
well, there's no attachment with the jhana citta.
Samatha is be away from attachment.
Yes.
So without the moment of understanding that particular object, which is to be object of attachment,
Right.
to be object of
Right.
understanding.
So at the moment of jhana citta, is there that understanding,
There
or
must
is
be
it
understanding.
Must be understanding.
but
yes.
different level.
And what is understood?
Okay,
The
that's why we begin to study the objects of jhana.
right.
Why they are the objects of jhana, for example.
Well, you could say there are two types of objects. One is like the casino or a color or something.
Okay, just
and
one.
And the other type is things that are to be contemplated, like death or the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, or
So we have
Kusala
to
Sattva.
learn a lot what object will lead to Appana Samadhi or just Upachara Samadhi, and what can lead to just only the first jhana, not the fifth jhana.
right. So, in the case of an object that will lead to the first jhana, for example,
Only first or first and
it
second.
doesn't matter. Just
Because
only
sometimes
first. Then only first.
only first, like Puttanusati.
Right. Okay. Good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It cannot be the first Rupa jhana, not level of Appana Samadhi. Only Upachara Samadhi.
So is that before the first? Yes. So right. So let's take something that will lead to the first jhana. The actual.
Puttanusati. Oh, excuse me, not the first.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, which
Yeah.
one?
Um,
Otherwise, there's no understanding,
Yeah.
there's no development of jhana.
what about Maranasati then?
Okay, Varanasati.
Yes.
What about the 10 Anusati?
I'm not so familiar with all the objects.
That's
but,
why we have to study what are the object of what level of samatha.
Can you help me out with an object? of,
What about foulness of the
คุณคำปั่นไปไหนละเชิญมาเลย
yeah.
How about foulness of the body?
บอกไม่ต้องไปไหน เพราะเรากำลังพูดเรื่องตำรับตำรา
What about
คุณ
the Brahma Viharas? Can they support the first jhana?
ได้
Okay.
up to
Right.
คุณคำปั่นอยู่ตรงนี้ค่ะเพราะจะต้องถามภาษาบาลีอนุสติสิกที่ไม่ทำให้ถึงอัปปนาสมาธินี่แบบไหนหรือว่า6หาไปเอามาค้น It's clearer if we have the
Okay. Here's in from the book. It says the Brahma Viharas, 3 of them, can condition calm to the degree of the 4th jhana. So that includes. It says that the 3 of the Brahma Viharas,
what are they?
namely Metta, Karuna, and Mudita, can condition calm to the degree of the 4th jhana.
Not the 5th.
Not the 5th. So, in the case of metta as the object of the first jhana, citta,
Okay. One has to understand the moment of calm. That even right now, we can think about metta. Is it the degree of the first jhana?
no,
No. So how can it be
right,
the object which has to develop on to the degree of jhana? Just for a moment, 1 moment, 2 moments of metta in
Right.
daily life.
Right.
Can it be
right,
the moment of
No.
calmness? That's why it's not just metta. How can it become the jhana? Different degrees of understanding. So no matter how much there is metta in a day, it's not yet.
and
So
the development,
panya
yeah,
develops to more and more metta.
yes,
It's not just today I have metta as the object of jhana and try to have metta then.
right,
Impossible.
right,
That person has to be understanding the benefit of metta.
right. So, metta is the kammatthana
at any moment.
At any moment.
When it's there,
Right.
not just one or two.
And the object is
people.
people, right. So is it the same at the moment of first jhana citta?
Not yet. Not yet.
The object the same? Is the object the same? Is
When
it
the citta
at
is
the moment?
calm and calm and calm and understand different degrees of calmness, do not misunderstanding whether it has reached the jhana. So without being calm, being metta, having metta in a day, can anyone develop metta to that level?
No, Ajahn. Thank you.
That's why each moment has to build up.
So
Is there metta enough today to reach that degree?
So, as I see it, it'd be the same for the jhana citta as for the moments leading up to the jhana citta. The object has to be a being.
Yes. Well, it's the quality of metta. So the metta has the being, but it
Yes.
is the understanding of metta, the quality of metta.
Right.
And of course the metta that is understood at that degree is the metta that is all beings, anywhere,
Boundless,
anytime,
yeah,
boundless,
but
different
but
from...
still, it's the kammatthana that is being contemplated still.
the quality of metta.
Yeah.
And it can reach that level of
Yes.
jhana.
Yes.
But it depends on whether conditions is enough or not yet.
So in the case then of say a kasina, which we've talked about before, and you've explained how for the earth kasina, it's contemplating the meaning of Patavi and the earth and how it's the role it plays in life. And at the moment of first jhana, it just the same as leading up to the first jhana, that it doesn't suddenly it's got to be the understanding of the significance of the earth element.
Without understanding enough about Patavi, can there be moment of calmness? Just Patavi, Patavi, Patavi. Doesn't lead to the level of calmness at all.
Right.
That's why people just read about the objects of samatha, but no understanding of moment of samatha. How come just hardness can be object of jhana? It has to be great wisdom of what is there.
Yeah.
The question that Jonathan's leading to is now when we reflect on hardness and how it's just hardness, but we find it so important. The table, the computer, the world.
สิ่งนี้มาจากไหน
the
อะติ๊งตังติ๊งตังเนี่ย
They have to all be muted. Make sure they're all muted. Has it been taught by a He hasn't been taught.
We're waiting for
So now when we reflect on Earth and we reflect how everything we find so important is just little specks of dust of no importance, and at each moment it's a different object that is experienced. The question is whether when it is the object of jhana cittas, whether at those moments when it is, for example, the kasina, whether it is exactly the same object that is experienced at each moment, not like now when we reflect on the quality of earth.
All depends on understanding. Yes, I know.
Come in.
Okay, another topic. The word derived, like we read about 24 rupas that are in English derived from the Mahabhuta rupas,
In
upada,
Pali,
upada rupas. And
ไปไหนอีกแล้วคุณคำ
and
ปั
the
น
question is, Warasak's disappeared,
คำปัน
Kampan has disappeared, everyone's.
like อุปาทาเราต้องเข้าใจ
So the 24 upada rupas, and we also know there are other meanings which are a little similar, like
คุณ
the
คำปันอยู่ไหนคะ Anything can happen.
There's someone at the door. Ding dong. Ding dong.
Ah, I see.
Someone wants to come in.
Because yeah, it's a case sound.
and show him
When they join the Zoom, that's
show him how to mute
yeah,
people.
somebody
He
comes.
needs to learn how to
Ah,
mute.
okay,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Wants to come
Zoom,
in.
yeah, right, on Zoom.
And also, could you get the screen adjusted, please?
What is this? No, what do you
Well, we want to see the
see
picture.
the Zoom. Zoom. I see. This scenes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And have the speaker enlarged.
That's all right. Just leave it like that. Just that's okay.
I think this is okay. Oh.
Okay, back to the topic. The 24 upada rupas, and we also know there's
ไหนคุณคำปัน
Jan's still looking for
อุปา
Kun
ทา
She would like to come back to Jana.
Okay. Alright อุปาทาอุปาดายะหรือปะ
We have upada rupas, and then we have the upadina rupas, those that are conditioned by karma, and the upadaya, the ones that the object of clinging. But the word upada, what is, we know that the 24 are conditioned by the 4 primary rupas, but what exactly is the meaning of the
without the
upada?
for
They cannot arise. So can we just say it means conditioned by the 4?
all by conditions
So it just means conditioned to arise by the 4
the for condition the
others.
rupa.
But the word term is only used in this context of rupas. For example, in other contexts, we don't see it used. So only in the context of rupas that they use upada.
That's why it depends on understanding.
Yes.
No matter what word, here or there, with such other word,
Yes.
the truth is that it's just a reality.
It's, yeah.
I've seen the expression dependent upon used, and I think that's better than conditioned by.
Even that word, it depends on that.
Yeah.
It. What about the understanding?
Yes.
See, so the understanding is the most important.
Yes, of course.
I think just now Achan made the distinction between saying that the Mahabhuta Rupas condition the Upada Rupas and that the Upada Rupas are conditioned by the Mahabhuta Rupas. I think having the Mahabhuta Rupas as realities these are then derived from those. It's not like to say that sound is conditioned by Mahabhuta Rupas is a little different.
That's why it says that Mahabhuta if you use the word condition the other rupa to arise together by way of sahachata paccaya. Understand a little more. And it's not anyamanya paccaya.
Because the 24 rupas cannot condition the citta by sahajata or anyamanya. They don't condition each other to arise. It's not like in the case of Cetasikas where they're all anyamanya, they all condition each other. So it's conditioned by way of being dependent on, but we could say any reality that is conditioned is dependent
Without the
on
four primaries,
without the paccaya.
they
yes.
cannot be the upada. Upada rupa or upada rupa.
Upada rupas.
มีทั้งสองคำครับท่านอาจารย์ครับอุปาทายรูปครับ
และ
อุปาทารูปก็กล่าวได้เช่นเดียวกันครับ
ไม่ใช่คำไหนถูก
จริงๆมีทั้งสองคำครับท่านอาจารย์ครับทั้งสอง
ความหมาย
คำ
เดียวกัน
ความหมายเดียวกันครับ
เอายะออกมียะก็ได้
ใช่ครับท่านอาจารย์ครับรูปที่อาศัยมหาภูตรูปเกิดขึ้นครับ
depends on
Like we say, yeah, so it's dependent on conditioned by
but the
being
Mahabhuta
dependent,
Rupa
not dependent on the others.
no anyamanya paccaya.
So upada just means dependent on the word, nothing to do with clinging or
It
anything.
includes all 24 rupas depend on the Mahabhuta Rupa.
Do you want to ask him about
I
your
have asked already.
jhana question?
No, about upada and upadaya.
Upadaya means clung to. So two meanings. We have in this case, the rupa, which is the object of clinging, is upadaya rupa. And we have the meaning of those rupas conditioned by karma, like 18 rupas are upadina rupas that can be conditioned by
But I
karma.
asked about the difference between the word upada rupa and upadaya rupa.
Yes, so
The
upada,
same.
but upada rupas I think means the dependent upon, and the upadaya means object of clinging, at moment of clinging.
Sarah, I'm wondering, maybe I'm the one who's confused, but you sound a little confused. That you're using upadaya, or rather but what you meant was upadana.
เพราะฉะนั้นความหมายของคำว่าอุปาทา
Speaking,
รูป
sorry, just a second,
และ
Sukin.
อุปาทายรูปไม่เกี่ยวกับอุปาทานใช่ไหม He said that nothing to do with upadana.
No.
So
Only the same
upadaya is same as
upada
upada.
or upada.
Sorry,
Exactly the same. Exactly the same. The same, exactly.
Sorry, say that again.
ไม่ยาวอะอุปาทายรูปใช่ไหมฮะ
Yarupa and Upatha Rupa is the same meaning, the same.
Exactly the same. Nothing to do with upadana.
No, we're thinking of upadana, yes. So upadaya and upada rupas same, and upadana are the rupas that are the objects of clinging, and upadina,
No.
the ones that are being conditioned by karma, that because the karma was conditioned originally by clinging.
But just the word, the meaning is exactly the same.
Yes, the upadaya and
Upada.
It's the translation of what is the meaning of upadaya? the word upadaya?
I think it's the same as upada. I kind of got in my notes mixed up because upadaya and upada, I think it's the same.
Can I ask Kun Gampang?
He said exactly the same อ้าวตอบ
คุณกำพังครับคำว่าอุปาดากับคำว่าอุปาดายะ
ครับ
ความหมาย
ความหมายเหมือนกันครับ รูปที่อาศัยมหาพุทธรูปเกิดขึ้น
ขอบคุณ
ครับ
Thank you.
Yes, I was referring to upadana. Upadana refers to the object of clinging, and then the other meaning of it is those that are rupas conditioned by karma. Two separate.
แปลว่าเดียวกันคำเดียวกันใช่ไหมครับ
ความหมายเดียว
ความหมาย
กัน
เดียวกันใช่ครับ
Thank you.
Sukin, did you want to add anything else or ask any question or anything?
No, nothing. Just that thing came to mind, and I was hearing Kun Kampan in Thai, which I understood him saying that Upada and Upadaya was the same.
Okay, so finish that. Anything else you want to ask about jhana, Ajahn?
just the words อุปาทารูปะ and
Okay.
อุปาทายรูปะ different word
Different word. This is referring to rupas conditioned by karma. But it's from the same root as upadana because of attachment there is karma, and because of that attachment that's conditioned karma, there are rupas that are conditioned by karma. So that is why they're referred to as the upadina rupas.
อุปาทานารูปะอุปาทินกะรูปะหมายความว่าไงฮะอุปาทินกะ
อุปาทินกะคือหมายถึงว่ารูปที่มีใจครองครับท่านอาจารย์ครับเป็นรูปที่เหมือนกับว่าเกิดสำเร็จแล้วจากสมุฏฐานนั้นๆครับท่านอาจารย์ครับ
ไม่ได้เกี่ยวกับอุปาทาน
ไม่ได้เกี่ยวกับอุปทานครับ
ค่ะ
เดี๋ยวผมเคยเขียนไว้อยู่
ทินนกะหรืออุปาคำถูกต้องว่าอะไรคำถูกหมายความว่าอะไรคำที่ถูกคำไหนอุปาทินกะ nothing to do with อุปาดานะ
I think it's the other meaning when it's referring to those rupas conditioned by karma.
เป็นรูปที่เกิดจากกรรมหรือเปล่า
ครับเป็นรูปที่หมายถึงว่าเป็นรูปที่สำเร็จแล้วเป็นสภาวะรูปที่สำเร็จแล้วครับในการที่เข้าไปยึดของตัณหาและทิฏฐิอันนี้ด้วยครับท่านอาจารย์ครับอุปาทินกะรูป
และรูปที่สำเร็จแล้วหมายความว่าอะไร
อันนี้เป็นข้อความในพระพิธรรมครับธรรมะที่ชื่อว่าอุปาทินนะเพราะกรรมประกอบด้วยตัณหาเป็นต้นด้วยสามารถกระทำให้เป็นอารมณ์ยึดถือเอาแล้วคือถือเอาโดยความเป็นผลที่ชื่อว่าอุปาทานิยะเพราะเป็นการเกื้อกูลต่ออุปาทานอันนี้อีกนัยยะหนึ่งครับอาจารย์ครับ
ลองพูดภาษาธรรมดาสิ yes may I have time
อุปาทินกะรูปที่มีอุปาทานเข้าไปยึดได้ครับอุปาทินนะ
รูปไหนล่ะที่ไม่มีอุปาทานเข้าไปยึด
อุปาทินกะรูป
คุณคำฝันครับตรงนี้คงจะเป็นความหมายว่ารูป like เพราะเรารู้ว่าทุกรูปนี่เป็น
ที่ตั้งของอุปาทาน
การยึดเป็นที่ตั้งของอุปทานได้แต่ว่าอุปนิกะนี้หมายถึงรูปที่สำเร็จหมายถึงว่าจะเป็นสำเร็จเพราะกรรมดีเพราะจิตดีเพราะอุตุดีเพราะอาหารดีทุกอย่างก็คือเป็นอุปทานยะอุปทานิกะรูปตอนที่สำเร็จแล้วถูกไหมครับท่านคุณครับ
ทบทวนอีกทีสิครับ
ครับ ธรรมะที่ชื่อว่าอุปาทินนะเพราะกรรมประกอบด้วยตัณหาเป็นต้นด้วยสามารถกระทำให้เป็นอารมณ์ยึดถือเอาแล้วคือถือเอาโดยความเป็นผลครับอันนี้คือ
ถือเอาโดยอะไร
โดยความเป็นผล
คน
ผลฮะอาจารย์
อ๋อ
ภาระ
ความเป็นผล
ใช่ครับ
here in the
ยึดเอาโดยความเป็นผล
ครับ
Upadina, also Upadinaka, is the past part. Upadina, also Upadinaka, is the past participle of Upa deity. He clings,
ขออนุญาตครับ
from which
ส
the
วัสดีทุก
noun
ท่าน
Upadana, clinging, also comes. Upadinaka rupa, clung to matter, equals Kamaja rupa. See the Dhamma Sangani 653. So it's the Kamaja rupa, Upadinaka rupa, clung to matter. So it's from the same root as Upadana.
หมายเฉพาะรูปที่เกิดจากกรรมหรือเปล่า
สวัสดีทุกท่านครับขออนุญาตพูดนิดนึงครับได้ไหมครับ
เชิญเลยค่ะ
ขอกราบสวัสดีท่านอาจารย์และทุกท่านครับก็เป็นมีสองคำนะครับที่ว่าหนึ่งก็คือว่าอุปาทิน
I'm
กะ
sorry,
รูป
this is an English
และอีกอันหนึ่ง
discussion.
This
English
is English
discussion.
discussion
Rick,
only.
thank you.
Only English from anyone at home, please. English only.
Yes, so there are two words. One is upatinika roop, and another one is anupatinika roop. So upatinika roop, it means that the root that it depends on is karma, and anupatinika roop, that's root it's not as a rise. It's not depends on karma. Does
Or
it make
not
sense to you?
dependent on karma. So the Upadina Rupa is, as I quoted, is the Kamaja Rupa. And if it's Anupadinaka, it's not conditioned by karma. So any rupas which are conditioned by karma are Upadina Rupa from the same root of as Upadana. Because of Upadana, there is karma. So it's referring to the rupas conditioned by karma. So I think this is quite clear. No points.
ครับท่านอาจารย์ครับตรงนี้กับผมก็เข้าใจว่าเป็นรูปที่เกิดจากกรรมครับท่านอาจารย์ครับเพราะว่าอย่างถ้ากล่าวถึงว่ารูปที่มีใจครองที่แปลกันนะรูปที่มีใจครองก็จะกล่าวถึงอุปาทินกะรูปนะครับท่านอาจารย์ครับ
คือพูดสั้นๆว่ามีใจครองแต่ความจริงมันคือรูปที่เกิด
เกิด
จา
จาก ก
ก
ก
ร
ร
ร
ร
ม
มใช่ครับท่านอาจารย์
You're
ครับ
right
ครับเป็นรูปที่เกิดจากกรรมครับสำเร็จแล้วจากกรรม
Because it's in all the commentaries it has the same. So it's
There are two words
Yeah.
Upatinaka rupa and Anupatinaka
Anupadinaka and Upadana, clinging. So it's from, they all come from the same stem of Upad. Deity means he clings. Yes.
So it's different from Upata rupa and
Yes.
Upataya rupa
Yes. Yes.
We have to be so very
Upada and
careful
Upadaya refer to those rupas dependent on the Mahabhuta, but here the Upadina refers to the Kamaja rupas and Upadana clinging, but same root.
It can be forgotten instantly for those who do not have the Pali background
ท่านอาจารย์ครับ
ค่ะ
มีคอมเมนต์หนึ่งที่คุณคำปั่นเมื่อกี้
Could you speak in English,
I'm
please?
Sorry. There was a comment คุณคำปั่น made about troopers being สำเร็จแล้ว
จาก
means
กรรม
it's what is that what does that mean สำเร็จแล้ว
กรรมทำให้เกิดค่ะ
Okay
ถ้า
so
ไม่มีกรรม
Sarah was right from the beginning it is
แปลว่า
it means
คำแปล
that
ยากต้องไตร่ตรองว่าหมายความว่าอะไรนะคะสำเร็จแล้วจากกรรมกรรมทำให้รูปนั้นเกิด
okay
Yeah.
now I got it yes thank you ท่านอาจารย์
We can
รูป
all
ที่
move
กรรม
on
ยึดถือ
now.
ก็ได้ครับ
Rick was speaking in English now. We're moving on to another topic. So, if you have a question in English, bring it up. Oh, if you have a question in English, bring it up. Otherwise, pause.
And sometime in Thai for
If for kumpan only, yes.
Where were
We've done that one.
Yeah, it is good to mix with Balis too, so that's good too.
Okay, I have a quote about the sense of urgency that we were discussing yesterday, so I just need to find it.
it's a study Dhamma to have clear understanding of the word and of the meaning of the truth.
Okay, energy, virya, is the state of one who is vigorous. Vira is characteristic, is marshalling, driving. Its function is to consolidate connascent states, i.e. the chitta and cetasikas. It is manifested as non-collapse. Because of the words, be stirred, he strives wisely. Its proximate cause is a sense of urgency, or its proximate cause is grounds for the initiation of energy. When rightly initiated, it should be regarded as the root of all attainments. So here it's talking about the kusala virya with development of understanding as conditioned by sense of urgency. So they're very closely related, the sense of urgency and the development of sama vayama, the right effort of the Eightfold Path. That was all. So usually whenever we see sense of urgency, it is in relation to virya cetasika and the development of virya, but especially virya of the path. They would like to bring up? Otherwise, I'll just carry on with other topics.
Back to the object of jhana, I'm still curious about the object of jhana. The first jhana, the second, and the fourth, and the fifth. So it is a different object, or just all the object is for fifth?
So there are a number of different kammatthana that can support the levels of jhana, right?
Yeah.
So there's no, when you say what is the object of jhana, there's no easy answer because it will depend. But as I understand it, the object of each level of jhana is the same kammatthana. Is that right, Ajahn? Yeah.
It does mean that sometimes metta, sometimes karuna, sometimes mudita. And what is the object of rupa jhana? First, second, third.
And in each of those cases, as I understand it, in the case of metta, the object has to be a being.
Yeah.
The actual object, as opposed to the kammatthana. Because the kammatthana is not the same as saying object. If we're talking about the object of the citta is a concept. Yeah. But it's a concept that relates to the kammatthana. Does that answer your question?
But if we're talking about metta as the object, so metta arises with beings as object, but like now there can be the understanding of the quality of metta when it arises. And in the development of calmness, it is, of course, concept of metta higher and higher. So it's actually the metta itself is to boundless metta to all beings, but the object, the kammatthana, is the metta itself.
That sounds possible. Yeah.
Immediately after the metta has arisen, but the quality, like now, the quality of metta itself, there can be friendliness to those around, and the metta itself can be the object of understanding.
The concept of metta.
Yes. If we're talking about samatha bhavana, it's the concept of metta. If we're talking about understanding of metta now, it's a reality.
It's reality.
I'm a little confused. The concept of metta too, about, because as we know, the concept, when metta arises, the concept is another being. And the concept of metta sounds, I'm hearing this for the first time. Can you expand a little bit?
So when metta arises, like even now, the object of metta is other beings. But when there is the characteristic of metta can appear, there can be the understanding of the quality of metta now. And at the moment of understanding, it's the metta itself, the reality, that is the object, not beings. If we're talking about the development of samatha bhavana, because there's no understanding of metta as a dhamma, as anatta, so it's always the object of, in samatha, is always a concept. So it's a concept of metta, the quality, in this case, very, very great metta that has been developed to that great degree.
Actually, it does make sense. Yeah.
Okay.
It does make sense that there must be this concept of metta to motivate more metta. Without it, I mean, it's not just like other beings, thinking about other
It
beings
has to
without
be
seeing
the great understanding of the quality
the
of
value
metta.
of metta, which is not
Yes.
at the level of vipassana,
Yes.
but at the level of
Yes.
samatha. Yeah.
And of course, there can be understanding, vipassana understanding of that reality immediately afterwards as just a dhamma.
That's right. Yeah.
So in the case of, say, a kasina, the earth kasina as the kammatthana, at the moment of jhana citta, the object would be the concept of solidity, as I see it. The concept of solidity for the earth kasina at moment of jhana citta.
Yes, it would be like if it's kasina, it's the sign of earth element.
Yes.
Repeatedly experienced. Tam's got her hand up. Sorry, Tam, I didn't see it because there's something covering it up on the screen. Go ahead.
No problem. Just along the same line, I was thinking about that as well. So in the case of the breath, for example, it's mentioned about the counter image, right? So the counter image later on becomes the object of jhana or what? And about the kasina, initially the object is described as a disc of blade made from earth elements, but actually it's seen, it's not really the earth element in terms of what we know as reality, because it's what is seen. So it's a little bit confusing on this point.
The sign is like the nimitta of earth. It's like the kasina is made, so it's just the sign of color, the sign of earth element. But I'll let Ajahn respond to your questions. I just explain it. Tam is asking about different jhana objects such as breath or counter image, or whether counter image can be object of jhana and the kasina. Would you like to just say it again, because I don't think Ajahn was listening?
Yes, I think it's not an easy point
Yeah.
because
Why does one have that object to be developed to the stage of jhana?
because that object can condition calm in that person with understanding.
That's why it has to be from then on. Understanding what is the proper object for that particular person, not the same object. It seems like we are going to develop jhana. but in truth, we try to understand it correctly in order to understand that what is wrong and what is right. If it's a wrong understanding, it cannot lead to jhana at all. Because no studying enough about this condition people to just follow the word and just concentrate, focus on one object, no matter color or what, and thinking that will condition jhana. But he or she has to understand the state of sangop, calmness. See, without understanding whether it's calm or not, how can it develop? And just want to have jhana, is it attachment or panya, which sees the danger of experiences, sensuous object, as before? So it not just follow the word and sit and try to concentrate on just one object. That is loba, attachment, not understanding the moment of calmness at all. So we just learn about what is the right development of calmness, samatha pavana, and what is not the samatha pavana at all, just done by attachment and aversion. But no one now, I think, trying to develop calmness because no understanding of what is there now and what just want to be calm. So we learn more because there is wishing, hoping to understand a little more. But as there is enough understanding of the difference between the development of samatha pavana with it's not samatha pavana, it's wrong idea to not just follow the wrong way. Otherwise we waste time thinking about jhana. What about understanding, seeing right now, or that which is now appearing? Move on and on and on away from this moment. So when there will be condition to attend to the nature of that, which is so very subtle, because it does not appear as it is from life to life.
It has to be Satyayana, isn't it, Chanachan?
Satya Parami as well.
Yes.
Be truthful to the truth of what is there is not anyone at all. And what is it? Is there calm too at moment of understanding it with understanding? Just understand what is true and what is not true, what is real and what is not real, what is wrong understanding, wrong path, and what is right understanding and right path.
Just one small detail, Tam, in what you said. I think that when it is the Apana Jhana Chitta, it is with the countersign, the Patibhaga Nimitta experienced, which is why it's so clear, but I really don't know the details.
Is this like the countersign of the casino? Similar thing?
Sign of the object, which is...
But Tam mentioned that in connection with mindfulness of breathing.
and
Is that
also
right, Tamba?
casino.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I see.
Because there has to be the countersign in any case, right? In both cases, but they can be different kinds of sign. But when I was thinking about the Patavi Tasina,
Yes.
it's called Patavi, but the way it's experienced is actually by through seeing. So actually,
Yes.
it's kind of visible object and not.
Yes. But the contemplation is about the Patavi. It's not like the case of understanding what is actually appearing at the present moment. It's just
It's all
taking
through
a
the
subject.
mind.
In fact, there can be the contemplation of Patavi without even having a casino.
Okay. So
When it's the casino, it's all through the mind, so it's the sign of earth element that has become the habitual object of understanding to that degree.
And John, it has to be start with understanding Patri without sign. Sign is for those people who have considered a lot about Patri Dhatu.
Yeah, the countersign cannot appear until the subject has been contemplated and there is understanding about it to a high degree.
anyway, it's not going to appear anytime now and not really object of our interest anyway. Just
I mean, Tom, that's why John was reminding about us forgetting about what's appearing now. Our interest actually does arise for the wrong things.
right. It always does.
And no matter it is samatha or vipassana, there must be right understanding. So is there any understanding at moment of thinking of Patavi? See? Otherwise, how can it be calm?
One thing that's mentioned in the Visuddhimagga, in the section on samadhi, is that when the kammatthana, the subject of contemplation, is settled on, one way or another, given by the teacher or whatever, there has to be then the learning of what has to be remembered and considered. So there's all that knowledge has to be passed on from, presumably from the teacher, but it's not recorded anywhere as far as I know, but it's mentioned that the student has to spend a long time learning what it is about the subject of contemplation that is to be understood and developed, and that information is not contained anywhere. So that people have the idea that it's just focusing on the subject of contemplation, but it's not. It's considering about it. and how it can condition calm.
Does anyone would like to develop calm? Is there a moment of kusala? And without understanding, no matter who says he had attained what degree of jhana, but what is calm? What is calmness? If there's no answer, it's not real. It's no understanding at all.
Hear today about many people referring to many teachers with many attainments, but as you say, if there's no understanding of what calm is, no understanding of how objects have to be reflected on wisely, then it's just empty words from the start.
And Sarah, I remember that early on when I met Achan and started hearing a little about jhana, I was quite impressed by their level of understanding, that I thought that if there was no Dhamma, I would be interested in hearing more about development of samatha, because that sounds like a good thing, you know. But it has to be, it's a totally different. After hearing the Dhamma, then it's about vipassana. So anyone who, you know, who has read the Buddha's teachings and who makes this wrong association about the need to develop jhana are totally out of track. You know, they're wrong. They just don't understand anything.
So, can the object condition calmness? See?
We can say today that it's all about clinging, because if there is understanding of Dhamma, it doesn't matter what the object is. There's no interest or expectation. But still, I appreciate Tom's points or details, because people bring up these points, these details. So I think it's helpful to understand what is said in the texts and to get the details correct, and because it's useful to understand about these different dhammas.
And I think the point that Ajahn just mentioned is important, because a lot of people have the idea that the object itself conditions calmness. But that's not the case. It's the way it's contemplated that conditions calmness.
And Sarah, I doubt that, you know, bringing out the text to those people from the Tipitaka about the different things, about the details of jhana, while they have no understanding about the Buddha's teaching, about the importance of developing right understanding of whatever appears, it's not going to work anyway with those people. It's just going to, they're just going to...
No. So that's why we wouldn't read out the text to them, because if someone has no understanding of what nama is, what rupa is, there's no value at all. And that's why it's a very unusual occasion like now, when everyone agrees there's absolutely no value in following a practice or trying to develop calm or attain jhana. So a very precious opportunity to discuss the details, which we don't usually have, like on a Zoom, a regular Zoom. Well, we would never bring up any of these points for discussion.
Yeah, right. But my point here is that while opening the text for those people who don't appreciate the Dhamma, that citing the text, no matter how much we do, till we die, it's not going to have any positive effect on those people.
Well, it depends on the different habits and accumulations. Like Alberto, from the beginning, he liked to see the text detail and consider the terms and the wording. Others, like you, never like to read or look at the text. So people have different
No, that's not the
accumulations.
distinction I'm making. I'm talking about people who have the idea that jhana is the way to go. Alberto didn't have that.
No.
Sorry, what kind of
Yeah.
text are you referring to here, Sukin?
Anything from Tipitaka, it's like, quoting something to someone who won't understand anyway.
So if they won't understand anyway, then one wouldn't quote. Or if they have no interest in listening to the Dhamma, one wouldn't speak to them about the Dhamma. Because
I mean, you
no
can
interest.
talk to Tam, she understands, but say someone that she's probably coming from, somebody else who thinks that that person is developing jhana and doing what the Buddha taught. I think that person,
Well,
no matter what you quote the
yeah.
text, that person will still read into the text what he likes because there's no understanding about the Dhamma.
Yes, a lot of people have some familiarity with the Visuddhimagga, the section on samadhi, and they get their wrong ideas from a superficial reading of that. So I don't see why it couldn't help to point out parts of that they probably haven't considered.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm a little skeptical about that. Sorry.
Yeah. I think, experience shows that your skepticism is well founded in the fact in that most people who are on that path don't change.
For example, in Vietnam, one of the bhikkhus asks many questions about such details, and we know there isn't a proper understanding of dhammas, but if one just ignores the questions, then he won't listen to what we say about realities. So one has to
That's right. We are
apply
obliged
the
to do our
understanding
best.
of realities, but
yeah,
link it to the questions. So one has to give some response to those detailed questions, but bring it back to now and what is important, not just ignore the details or
so
the questions.
we need to remind them about this, and hopefully that being reminded about the importance of understanding now will one day make them. That's the key.
And that is the key, and this is why he will come back. But he if he wishes to bring up these questions, he can. But we will always bring it back to this moment, always.
You're right.
Point, Ajahn, when we were talking about breath yesterday or the day before as object of calm and as object of understanding, and we know there are so many references into the text about how as object of samatha it's such a difficult topic only for the minds of Buddhas and their sons and with great wisdom and special qualities and so on. And people often quote this with regard to understanding of breath as object in daily life. But I think this is particularly, when I've read it, is always in the context of samatha bhavana, and like we were saying, the softness or hardness that is taken for breath in daily life. It just depends on conditions, no wish, no expectation, but the references are just in the context of samatha bhavana with breath as object. Do you have any comment? Or?
On that point, I'm wondering, because that's one thing I've always thought about this, is that, like I've heard, that breath is more subtle than, say, touching a table. So, and that's perhaps the reason why it's only for those people who know breath, that this is a rupa conditioned by chitta, and those people are rare. It's like right now, if we try to, or not try or not, if we by chance there's some attention to the breath, it is not understanding what breath with the understanding of what breath really is, and it's just some other aspect of hardness or cold or heat, but not that this is breath which is being experienced.
So, is there breath now?
Yes, in theory there is breath
No,
now. Yes,
in truth.
in truth there's hardness, softness,
No,
but breath.
I mean that what we think about what is breath, is there breath now? We didn't talk about the liver or the sitting or walking, but what is taken for breath, everyone knows when we use the word breath, what does it mean? So is there breath now?
There is.
Is there breath now?
There is breath, but no understanding about it.
Does it appear?
It does not appear, but it is there because we know that without breath there's no life.
So that's by assumption then. But I think
That's
Ajahn is
it. That's it.
asking.
That's what I'm saying.
I think
I'm
Ajahn is
saying that
asking: is it apparent
no.
normally? No.
Normally we hear the word breath and we our attention is to the tip of the nose or something else. It's not breath. It's just you know we don't know with the understanding that that's breath. It could be blowing out us, just whatever. But it doesn't appear unless we have the understanding. That's what I'm assuming.
And Sukin, I think there are 2 points in what you were saying before. The quotes about how extremely subtle it is and how rare it is and how it's only for Buddhas and this and this. This is referring to as object of jhana, but not to object of understanding in daily life. In
Yeah, that's it.
That's one
that's
point.
what I've that's what I was wondering, and that's
And
why I
the
brought this
second
thing
point
up.
about how it's subtle object, but it can appear. It just depends on conditions. Like we can't say that it cannot. Now, at this moment, it doesn't appear, but it can appear. Like when one's doing one's exercise or something, the reality can appear. So the text's all about just how it's just for the Buddhas and this and this. This is as object of jhana.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because we're talking about someone who habitually considers breath and with kusala, with understanding, of course, and then reach the level of jhana. And that's where also, but still, that's in the realm of jhana and samatha, not in vipassana.
We are talking about breath. Is there breath now? Even it's there.
Yes.
No thought about it at all.
But
Now, and there's thought
Thanachan,
about it because we're discussing it.
yes, so there is some attention, some condition to attend to that. So, like Sarah was saying, when we are exercising or swimming or not, obviously there's thinking a lot more than otherwise. Let's say about breath. So it is thinking still about breath.
So
As
breath is breath, right?
yes, Thanachan.
But what is its nature?
Its nature is hardness, softness, heat, cold,
Until no
motion,
breath,
pressure.
only hardness or softness appear. No one, no
Right.
breath.
Yeah.
One, no body, no breath in reality at all. Nothing there, just the rupa, just the softness, hardness that we call breath, but actually it's just a rupa that appears or doesn't appear, of no significance at all.
So we talked about it yesterday, about breath.
The other day, another topic that we talked about was Ghana. I think this Jonathan might have mentioned it. And this is an interesting quote about Sankara Nimitta, the sign of conditioned dharmas, which refers to the 5 khandhas. These are a sign because they build the ground for the occurrence of the perception of compactness, ghana, sanya, or because they appear like graspable entities. Particularly, it refers to the sign of materiality, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, to the sign of the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. They're called worldly formations, lokika, sankara, because they're a sign for the arising of mental defilements, or because they appear in the mode of a sign. I mean, it's a good quote because it's all about Sankara Nimitta. Sometimes people ask where it talks about. This is in Visuddhimagga. And just to go back, the Sankara Nimitta, referring to the 5 khandhas, they are a sign because they build the ground for the occurrence of ghana sanya. What does this mean?
The sign of everything.
The sign of everything, and lead to the memory, the perception of compactness, ghana. So they lead to the idea of a whole, everything lumped together, because they appear like graspable entities. So it seems like there is something there. And worldly, they're called worldly formations, lokika, sankara, because they are a sign for the arising of mental defilements. Without sankara, then there would be no clinging. Anyway, any other comments? Just nimitta of whatever is there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Leading to all kinds of memories and ideas
to,
of a whole.
yeah, to be reminded that we are now living in the world of nimitta. Is it dangerous?
Yes, because they're just the nimitta, but the actual dharmas have risen and fallen away long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Each one unsatisfactory, no matter it's calm or panya or seeing or any other conditioned dharma, all gone, all insignificant, but
And,
the object
yeah.
of clinging again and again.
And not just one life. Years and years life. Are you living in the world of nimitta, Sohan? Now.
In Kamabhumi,
No, not Bhumi. Are you now living in the world of nimitta, the sign of reality?
yes,
All the ignorance, attachment to just the sign or the mark of that which is not there anymore.
ใช่ครับอาจารย์
ท่านอาจารย์ครับ but this nimitta as object of chitta, of experience, just now when Sarah was talking about Ghana Sanya, this is definitely with wrong understanding. But we also know, are we living in the world of nimitta? It's not all the time with wrong understanding. And without nimitta, even the Buddha could not live and communicate with others. So you are referring to particularly living in the world of nimitta with no understanding of what is it, Dhammajan.
So it's another way to help people to understand the danger of living in the world of atta from birth, this and that all day, and nimitta of what is that, this or that all day in life, from life to life. No understanding of the truth. That's why he is so very precious to help the other to understand the truth. Otherwise, who knows now we live in the world of nimitta. No kunsara, no kunjunata, no one, no glass, no table. The truth is that what we take for something permanent as atta, in truth, its reality is anatta. And so, not permanent at all, just arise and falls away, and that is the Four Noble Truth. Until the truth appear to Panya. Little by little. What is seen now?
People and things. So always live in the world of atta.
Nimitta and
Nimitta
atta.
and atta. Yes. So see the danger of ignorance accumulate more long time ago, eons and eons until now. How much ignorance, so dangerous.
And is it calm now, understanding the truth?
Yes, it's come moment of understanding.
If there's no understanding, can there be more development?
No.
And not only the ignorance is dangerous, whatever is conditioned to arise is dangerous. Even the seeing now, the hearing, even the calm now
Each moment of life arise and falls.
is dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah.
Clinging instantly.
Yeah,
and
that's
but it can be happy or joyful to consider how dangerous it is and how not worth clinging to. Let go of the baggage a little bit.
moment seeing the danger is joyful.
Yes.
So we are on the right way. You see.
And Kunmeta, there's no other way. We are very lucky people.
Yeah, that's the only way that understand the truth which is appearing right now. That's only the way.
And it is Satya Barami and Adidana Barami, Nekama Barami. Otherwise, how can it condition moment of enlighten the truth of anatta, its reality now?
Sukhin, we can appreciate how the understanding of the truth now is the best medicine for any time, any occasion, because no other medicine can lead to the right path. I think we're about to... Sorry, you finish and
Okay,
then
never mind. It's not important. Yeah, what you say is right.
we can continue this afternoon. We'll pause for lunch and continue this afternoon. Rit, very glad that you are able to join the Zoom discussion. Join again this afternoon if you're free. And everyone else.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's good anniversary. Enjoy your lunch.
Thank you, Tanachan. Thank you, everybody.